So the song Closer is written from the perspective of the prodigal child, which is a parable that Jesus tells in the Gospel of Luke. Basically, it's a story of this boy who demands his whole inheritance from his father and then leaves home, goes and lives it up in the city, spends all of his money, has nothing left to eat, so he decides to come home. And I think a lot of us believers find ourselves in that spot where we feel like we've run so far from God, and we look back at the Father and we desire to have that intimacy again, that closeness that we once had. And so that's where he finds himself. And what's beautiful there is that in that culture, what should have happened is that if he had gone, he shouldn't have gone home at all, but if he did go home, he would have been cast out or sent away, cast off. What we see in the Bible is the Father runs to him. And I think that's just such a beautiful metaphor for how God sees us when we've run so far and then turn our eyes back to him and call out and desire that closeness again. And that's kind of the lyric in the chorus that says, I just want to go back to the start. It's not talking chronologically, it's talking about that feeling of closeness. I just wanted to go back to how it felt when you were born again, when you met Jesus. So the history of this song it's a bit ironic. I wrote it back in 2009. I wrote the verses, the chorus, the hook, all of that way back then. And what's ironic about that is that I was not a prodigal child at that point. I had just become a Christian the year before, and I was close with God. I was excited about my new relationship with Jesus, and but this Bible story really resonated with me. It just felt so emotional and real, and it just really touched me. And so I decided to write the song out of that. Years later, I did run from God, and I ran as far as I could, into drugs and alcohol, and basically I just let my mental illness take over my life, and God was no longer part of the equation for me. And then in 2015, I decided to recommit my life to Jesus, and I found this song somewhere on my computer, and reading through it just meant so much more to me now. All of a sudden, it resonated with me in such a different way, and I felt the lyrics quite deeply because it had become my story. And then just last year, I was looking at it again, and I realized for this song to be an accurate representation of that parable, there needs to be a return. There needs to be a decision to follow God again, to run back to the Father. So that's when I wrote the bridge and the final chorus, just to end off on that note. So I've had a lot of people tell me, great song, but it doesn't belong on Sunday mornings. And to me, I've thought about that a lot, and to me that doesn't really imply a deficiency in the lyrics at all, but more so an expectation that as believers, we need to be dishonest about how we're feeling on Sunday mornings. Because I know for me at least, there's a lot of Sundays where I come to church and I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to sacrifice. I'm not prepared to surrender. As worship leaders, if we're going to facilitate real encounters with Jesus, we need to give our congregations permission to be honest about how they're feeling. We need to have songs that can meet people there and then draw them into worship. I hope that people who hear this song will feel like they're not alone, and that they don't have to be perfect, and it's okay that their praises are messy. Maybe they don't feel close to God right now, but they want to be closer, and I think that's a great start. And I hope that this song helps people move from that place toward a real encounter with Jesus.
Just wanna go back to the start and worship who you are. God, you changed.